we are working on Psalm 36. Some traditional magical uses for Psalm 36 include destroying envy, destroying gossip, to receive grace, and also to expose lies. And I think that's a great one. So I think we're going to use Psalm 36 today to expose lies. The way we work psalm magic is very simple, easy, and effective. We take the psalm in question and we recite it out loud all the way through once without stopping. In this tradition, we call that an incantation. The second step of that formula is to go back through the psalm and to consider each verse one at a time in turn. While we're doing that, what we're doing is we are searching for hidden occult meanings that lie within each verse, and we see those as magical seeds. Through the act of searching and digging for those meanings and then applying what we find to whatever the issue is that we brought to the psalm, we are in a very real sense taking those magic seeds that we discover and planting them deeply in the fertile grounds of our minds, where they in a very real sense take root, grow, blossom forth, and then bear fruit after their kind. And that's exactly what you and I are going to do together right now with Psalm 36. The transgression of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of God before his eyes. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He hath left off to be wise and to do good. He devised mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. Thy mercy, O Lord, is in the heavens, and thy faithfulness reacheth unto the clouds. Thy righteousness is like the great mountains. Thy judgments are a great deep. O Lord, thou preservest man and beast. How excellent is thy loving kindness, O God! Therefore the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. They shall be abundantly satisfied with the fatness of thy house. And thou shalt make them drink of the river of thy pleasures. For with thee is the fountain of life. In thy light shall we see light. O continue thy loving kindness unto them that know thee, and thy righteousness to the upright in heart. Let not the foot of pride come against me, and let not the hand of the wicked remove me. There are the workers of iniquity fallen. They are cast down, and shall not be able to rise. All right, there's so much in this psalm. It's really a nice one. First of all, we want to bring to mind that which we are bringing to the psalm. Today we said that we are wanting to expose lies. Remember that the power that we have in magic is over our own thinking. And when we can actually alter our thinking, that's how we are able to alter the manifestations of our thinking. And so if somebody is lying to us, or if we need to expose lies, one powerful way we can handle that is by exposing the internal lies that we have within us as well. So we're going to be doing both at once today. It starts out by saying, the transgression of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of God before his eyes. Like I said, what we want to do is focus on our own internal lies, and that's how we can expose the lies of those in our midst. The wicked are representing those thoughts which are at odds with infinite intelligence. We often call that the ego mind. Remember that the ego is nothing more than a set of beliefs that we have gotten into the habit of thinking. So we come from just this basic premise that we are separate from infinite intelligence and that we are a bunch of fragmented little egos. Each of us is on our own. We have to do our best to fight against that cold, cruel world outside. And that is the transgression of the wicked, that whole idea that we could possibly be separate from infinite intelligence. And that idea has caused an entire world to arise in our midst to prove those erroneous ideas, those erroneous thoughts. And so whenever we look at the world and we see a world of separation, we see a cruel world, we know that the thoughts are being reflected back to us, which are lies, because infinite intelligence didn't create a world of pain and of lies. Infinite intelligence created a world of beauty and perfection. And so it says, the transgression of the wicked saith within my heart that there is no fear of God before his eyes. The wicked thoughts within our heart are saying there's no fear of God. Now remember, the fear of God isn't that we're afraid of God. The fear of God is the realization of the ecstasy of God within us. Think about how all fear in this world has some sort of pain attached to it. And so the fear of God is the only fear that has no pain attached to it. And so what that means is that anytime that we are experiencing the presence of infinite intelligence, or the presence of the Lord as it's called in these Psalms, what we are experiencing is the ecstasy of infinite intelligence. And so those thought forms don't have that. They don't have the fear of God. They don't have that ecstasy, which means that they don't really exist. They're not alive. They're just fake. They're false. They're phony. And that's why they create a fake, false, phony, counterfeit world. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful. That's what those thoughts do. That's what the ego does, is it flatters itself. It thinks of itself as being bigger than God, or that there is no God, that the ego is God. And so that's what we do, is we have these ideas of, I'm God in my own universe. I have all the power. But what we don't stop to realize is that when we allow those kinds of thoughts to happen, that the only way the ego can differentiate itself from infinite perfection is by being imperfect in some way. And it's important to remember that infinite intelligence, infinite perfection, God did not create us imperfect. God created us to be who we are, and that's perfect. The ego is hell-bent, literally, about creating evidence to support that belief for us. So when it says, he flattereth himself in his own eyes until his iniquity be found to be hateful, it's talking about that's the only kind of flattery that the ego has, is look at how bad we are. Look at how we're not good enough. Nothing works in this world. That's the arrogance of the ego. Because of the power of our thinking, we have plenty of evidence to support that belief system. We have plenty of evidence to support the belief that we're not good enough and neither is anybody else. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He hath left off to be wise and to do good. The words of the ego are iniquity and deceit, and there is no wisdom there. There is nothing good about that. Nothing good can come from that ego thought. There's no way that you can eventually follow the path set forth by the idea of you're not good enough and eventually find good. It's going to lead you into nothingness because it's a lie. There's no truth to it. It can show you, it can prove to you, it can produce evidence that it's true. But the evidence itself is faulty because the evidence is illusory. Even though it seems real in this world, you can look in this world and find all kinds of evidence of how you're not good enough. But this world is not your home. This world is a world that arose from a faulty idea. Now, beyond this world is the world that infinite intelligence created for us. And we don't come unto that world after we die, like some people think. Then all of a sudden you go to a new place called heaven. The dream of this world evaporates as we awaken to the truth about who we are. And then this world seems to transform itself into the world of infinite intelligence. But in reality, what's happened is that we've awakened to the truth once we have seen through these lies. So when it says the words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit, he hath left off to be wise and to do good. It's reminding us that everything we see reflected back to us from the perspective of the ego is there to prove all of these lies, that we're not good enough, they're not good enough, nothing's good enough, this is a horrible world and we're horrible people and everything's pretty horrible. But it can't be too horrible, or the ego knows that you would really question that. So it's not really that bad. It's just bad enough that you can never have peace, that you can never have any kind of happiness or joy. He devised mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. When the ego deviseth mischief upon his bed and setteth himself in a way that is not good, we program our deep mind with ego thoughts. And remember what the deep mind is there to do. It's there to manufacture experiences and forms that reflect the ideas given unto the deep mind. So when the ego sitteth on his bed, it's manufacturing a world, a false world for us, based on false ideas about ourselves. And then saying, see how real this world is? And then it seems like we're in this place where we can't escape because we're stuck in this painful world, and we don't realize that this world is the effect of lies, and that beyond this world is actually a world where we're asleep to. We're asleep to the world that's true, and that when we awaken from that nightmare, we'll realize that all of this was just nothing. But it's very important to understand that the idea of the ego is, yeah, there is a better world, and it happens when you die. When you die, you'll get to that other world. That all came out of the ego. It's not something that you get to when you die. It's something you get to when you open up your eyes, when you open up your spiritual sight. Thy mercy, O Lord, is in the heavens, and thy faithfulness reacheth unto the clouds. Infinite intelligence exists in the heavens. The heavens is the truth. That's where we live. That's where we live. The Garden of Eden in the Genesis myth is a symbol of the true home where Adam is still sleeping. In the story, God put Adam to sleep. It was like God gave Adam anesthesia so that then Eve could be extracted from Adam. In other words, Adam was androgynous, fell asleep, and started having a nightmare about having a split mind, a split personality, a split everything. Nowhere in the narrative, all the way through even the New Testament, does it say that Adam ever woke up from that dream. That's who we are. We're Adam, sleeping in the Garden of Eden, having hallucinations, having nightmares about things that aren't happening. So the rest of that whole Bible, if you read it, it's just a narrative about Adam's dream. And that's what we're having, is Adam's dream. But infinite intelligence doesn't have any part of that. The God that put Adam to sleep in that dream was not God. It was a hallucination of Adam. So Adam is projecting Adam's own fears onto this Lord or this God in that scene. So we're not doing that anymore. We're saying, yeah, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to keep projecting images onto God. We're going to recognize that God is alive and well and in heaven, helping us to wake up. And that's what we're here for, is to wake up again. Thy mercy, O Lord, is in the heavens, and thy faithfulness reaches unto the clouds. Thy righteousness is like the great mountains. Thy judgments are a great deep. O Lord, thou preservest man and beast. And how is it that infinite intelligence preserves man and beast? Because infinite intelligence knows the truth, knows that we're dreaming, knows that the ego is trying to create experiences for us in this dream to keep us asleep, to keep us separate, to keep us believing things that aren't true. And infinite intelligence knows that we have the right to think anything we want to think, and that we can stay asleep for as long as we desire. When we awaken, it's like the prodigal son. It's not like when we awaken, infinite intelligence says, how dare you have a bad dream? It's when we awaken, infinite intelligence says, yeah, you're up. How excellent is thy loving kindness, O God. Therefore, the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. So we're talking about sphere number 4 a lot in these Psalms. It likes to dwell on Hesed. And that's what it's talking about here, is how excellent is thy loving kindness, O God. Therefore, the children of men put their trust under the shadow of thy wings. So in the midst of this dream, infinite intelligence brings help. It's not like we're just left unattended here. While we're having this nightmare, infinite intelligence brings us protection so that we can feel safe. Because the idea is that if you want to wake up somebody from a nightmare, if you do it gently, eventually what happens is the dream starts to change from a nightmare to one that reflects happiness, so that the awakening is gentle and not in a panic. And that's what's happening here. Infinite intelligence is always bringing us help within the dream. That's putting your trust under the shadow of infinite intelligence's wings, is simply recognizing that even in the dream, you can have happiness. Even in the dream, you can feel protected, because that's how powerful God is. So all you have to do is have that sort of lucid dreaming moment where you say, oh, I'm feeling unsafe in this dream. I'm going to call on the help of infinite intelligence and claim my safety within the dream until I wake up. They shall be abundantly satisfied with the fatness of thy house, and thou shalt make them drink of the river of thy pleasures. The river of the pleasures here is alluding back to the 4 rivers of Eden. And I did a lecture on the four rivers of Eden, and that's where all of that garden was nourished by those 4 rivers and are still being nourished by those 4 rivers. But you have to understand that the Garden of Eden is not just some garden somewhere. It represents Adam prior to the fall, before Adam was split into Adam and Eve, which is a symbol of you. It's a symbol of you. What Eden represents is not just some garden. It represents you in a healthy mind, in a right mind. You in a healthy mind, awake and happy, in a time and space where all is well and everything is permanently perfect. For with thee is the fountain of life. In thy light shall we see light. And that's talking about the awakening. If you stay your mind on God, as it's called in here, or the Lord, what that does is it reminds you that beyond this world, there is truth. And so if you focus on the light of God, then you're focusing on the light of truth. Where you've put your mind is where you start to direct your life. And so if you start directing your dream to the light, then you're directing the dream toward the awakening. And so that puts all of the focus of your life on that awakening, which means that all of the events of your life start to awaken. And that's how, like we were talking about at the beginning, if you do have people in your dream here, in your life, that are lying, and you need to have those lies exposed, it will have to happen, because truth begets truth here. So the dream will start to reflect the truth of infinite intelligence as long as you put your mind on that. If you allow yourself to be distracted by the dream, then you're going to go farther asleep. But if you put your focus on the truth, on the light of God, as it's called in this psalm, then you are gently awakening. So you're either going more and more into the sleeping or more and more into the awakening. And it's up to you based on where you focus your mind. Do I want to focus on the ego, where I'm being lulled into sleep and into more and more of this dream? Or do I want to focus my mind on God, the light of God, where I'm being gently awakened into the truth? Oh, continue thy loving kindness unto them that know thee, and thy righteousness to the upright in heart. That's like saying, water continue to be wet, trees continue to be wood. To say, oh, continue thy loving kindness to them that know thee, infinite intelligence is infinite loving kindness. That's who it is. You're asking infinite intelligence to be more of what it is, and it's never going to be more of what it is because it's already infinitely that. So you focusing on God only brings you more and more awareness of the loving kindness of God, because that's what God is. The idea that God wants to punish us is erroneous. That's one of the lies. The idea that God is angry with us and wants to punish us is one of the lies. And that's one of the biggest lies that the ego likes to trade in, because that way we won't search for God. But if we recognize that loving kindness is the only thing that's there, we want more and more of that. We want to wake up to that. Because we're not going to wake up to some new, worse nightmare. We're going to wake up to the truth. And the truth always sets us free. And the reason why it sets us free is because it's the reality. The falseness is the idea that God wants us punished. Let not the foot of pride come against me, and let not the hand of the wicked remove me. The foot of pride, a foot can kick, right? It can do that, but it also can walk on a path. So if you are walking on the path of pride, that means that you're doubling down on the dream. that you're doubling down on the ego, that you're doubling down on moving away from the light of truth and into more lies. That's the foot of pride. The pride of Lucifer that caused the fall was simply the idea that somehow we could improve upon God's perfection, that somehow we could change God's plan, that somehow we could do things different than the way God wanted us to. And God said, you can, but only in the realm of a nightmare, only in the realm of a fantasy, because truth is still truth. So yeah, you can go and lie all you want, and you can play in arrogance all you want, but the only thing that can get you is falling asleep and having dreams and having fantasies and believing that they're true. That's the best you can do. But I'm always here to wake you up when you decide otherwise, and you decide to come to the truth. Let not the foot of pride come against me, and let not the hand of the wicked remove me. The hand is what you do. The foot is how you walk, the path that you walk on, and the hand is what you do, is your work. If you're asking not to work to be wicked, meaning I don't want my works to reflect the lies anymore, I want my works to reflect the truth, then you're not contributing to building more and more illusion. You're contributing to building more and more of a bridge to the truth, because you're guided by that light. You're guided by that infinite truth. And when you do that, everything around you has to start reflecting the truth. That is how you expose those lies. You expose those lies by exposing your own lies that you've been lying to yourself, and by dedicating yourself that you're going to walk on the path of truth and that you're going to work for truth, so that you can build that bridge of awakening. And you do that by being guided. You don't say, I'm going to do it myself. I know what to do. That was what Lucifer's mistake was in the first place. Oh, I know what to do. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just think you do. So let's work with infinite intelligence instead of thinking all by ourselves, because infinite intelligence already knows what to do. There are the workers of iniquity fallen, and they are cast down and shall not be able to rise. So that is talking specifically about the fall. This whole psalm alludes to Eden and that whole myth of the fall. And the fall wasn't that we were sinners and that Lucifer is a sinner and that all the angels that fell with Lucifer were sinners and that we get to look forward to eternal torment unless we do something special. That is not what that meant. It's simply a depiction of what happens when you just try to carve out a reality that's different than what's real. Then you start to use your mind in such a way to experience a world that reflects those things that aren't real. In the story of Lucifer, that was never Lucifer's actual intention. The intention was to be helpful, but it doesn't matter if you accidentally hit someone with your car, you're still responsible for doing it. Even if you were intending to do something else. I was intending to help them, but I accidentally hurt them. Well, you're still responsible for that. You're still responsible for cleaning up your mess. And that's what Lucifer's responsibility is. And Lucifer is simply a symbol of that part of ourselves that thought arrogantly and now are thinking again and saying, oh, made a mistake. I want to do it differently now. I want to wake up. And I'm going to wake up now. And as I wake up, I'm going to bring all of these lies around me into the light of truth. And we're going to expose those lies. And all of those lies are going to get dispelled. And so everybody around me can wake up as well. So you're not necessarily just exposing lies so that then they can get punished. You're exposing lies so that everybody can wake up and we can all be happy. And that's something that is not going to happen on some faraway land or some time way off in the future or sometime after everybody dies. It's something that is happening right now. And it's just a matter of us allowing ourselves to see the truth instead of seeing the lies. And when we do that, we can recognize that heaven on earth is something that is real. And we can have it right now and right here. And we can get glimpses of it right now and right here, even before we are fully awake. You just keep coming back to this psalm every single day until you start getting a sense of peace and certainty that those lies are being exposed and that the truth is setting you free. And once you get that sense of security, once you get that sense of peace, once you get that sense of certainty that this is happening, you can move off this spell and go do something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Until next time, blessed be.